Alright, we're live. So, for people who don't know me, I'm Darren. I'm part of the new community. I'm one of the new guys for the community team that just joined recently. And I'm with Josh. He's on the new content team.
Yeah. So I work on the new content team as a writer and designer. And I actually led the design for Longobards, the DLC that's coming out.
Cool. So basically, guys, we're just going to be jumping into a campaign for the Longobards DLC. And I think we're going to go with the Langobards. Now we're going to go through some of the factions as well first off, so you guys get to see exactly what you want. So we'll just get straight into the game here.
Awesome.
Just put the sound back up. So yeah, basically, because we have both of us, the mic's going to be in the center, so the sound will just come through here.
Yeah, sure.
But you should be able to hear like whatever's going on anyway. Just so that the mic doesn't reverb it. So yeah, we should be like, just make sure, 100% sure. Yeah, we're there. Okay, cool.
Brilliant. Okay.
Alright,
great.
So the Longobards DLC, guys, comes out tomorrow, and we'll just have a quick look at the factions. It adds the Langobards, the Alamans, and the Burgundians. Right, so we'll go through some of the traits here for the Langobards. Might turn down the sound or music a little bit.
It's great though. I love the Attila intro music.
Yeah, the soundtrack's been pretty good. They've just been listening to it for like half an hour, so
probably not that keen.
I think it is actually pretty good. Much more atmospheric than Rome 2, I think.
Yeah, it's got a lot of character, and it's quite apocalyptic as well.
Right, so, Langobards.
Yeah, let's look at them.
Alright, so we have Godin's Chosen. So we have the cultural trait, which carries over from the Barbarian Kingdoms, which obviously gives you a building conversion rate of -50%, and then we have Godin's Chosen. So we have Emancipators, double unit replenishment when taking on troops. I was just talking to Josh just before we started here of how like powerful that can actually be. Like, I don't know why what is it again? So it's double unit replenishment. Yeah. So what's the deal with like as you go further into a campaign? It seems like as your army ranks up, you hit the other enemy army. They take a lot of casualties. Sometimes you have like 1% replenishment, sometimes you have like 10%. Why does it vary?
Yeah, so the way it works is that normally there's like a 1% replenishment after every battle, but then there's a series of multipliers which are kind of applied to that based on the numbers of your troops and numbers of their troops and basically how well you fought. So if you fight a really good battle, you'll get a really high multiplier off that. What we've done is we've doubled the base thing, so the multipliers are applied twice.
Yeah,
basically.
Oh, that makes sense then. Yeah.
That's kind of to kind of show because the Longobards, if you kind of read some of their histories, Paul the Deacon's history, there's a passage where he talks about them kind of emancipating the people who they conquered. So instead of taking them as slaves, as a lot of German tribes did, they'd welcome them into their armies, and they had a ceremony where they present them with an arrow. So they were free. So this is just kind of to
That's pretty good, because like I was telling Josh, into my campaign, I won a battle that was actually pretty difficult, and I took a lot of casualties. Yeah. But I was able to replenish by 33%, which just allows me to keep like snowballing into like territories and just. You don't need to go back. Obviously, you do suffer the experience penalty a little bit, where it waters down your experience. But in the early game, it's not really a big deal because everything's new anyway. So they're actually quite a powerful faction because of that trait alone, I feel.
Yeah, and the morale bonus is also good.
So 10 plus 10 unit morale when fighting against armies of other religions. So once you get out of kind of Germania, really, you start well, as soon as you go against the Romans, you're against different religions. So plus 10 unit morale is actually pretty significant, especially when attacking towns, and then they have negative morale as well. Yeah. When you burn them, so.
And that's kind of good. Hopefully to give people an incentive, because it's quite easy to get bedded down into this area. So it's kind of. It helps give an incentive for players to move down into the Roman territories and kind of mimic the things that the Langobards actually did, which was when they moved down into Italy. So, yeah. So we've tried to give each of the factions kind of like try to really bring out the things that made them different from the other German tribes, because there's a lot of these new kingdoms, and they were really quite different if you look at them. So we tried to really bring that out.
So we have the Alamans as well. Their traits are Royal Splendor, plus 50% to General's Radius of Influence, so that's pretty obvious, and plus 15 melee attack versus Romans. Wow, that's actually a huge buff. Yeah. When you think about it, and considering that Rome have like 60% of the map probably, to begin with, that's pretty useful as well. Yeah.
So the Alamans.
So the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, so they're supposed to be kind of like a confederation of different tribal groups who are kind of held together by various different kings. So we've tried to really put an emphasis on generals and kings, kind of motivate. So a lot of their troops have kind of lower morale than other troops in other factions, but better attack. And you have these powerful general units and these powerful dual nobles, who you can recruit quite cheaply, and they act as kind of totems to bump the morale of the rest of your troops. So it's kind of like a it's kind of a different play style, because you got to try and keep those generals and those guys alive. That's more important than it will be for other factions.
And then lastly, we have the Burgundians. So their traits are bred for the hunt, icy determination, plus 10% unit replenishment, and plus 15 food for every region with per fertility. All right, so that's pretty good as well. So they get to kind of just like replenish a lot faster, and then basically don't have to worry about fertility as much, especially in the late game when it starts, that snow line creeps further and further south and things get a bit more worrying. So you're a bit more secure in taking northern territories with this faction. I guess they are quite close to the very northern boundaries as well. Yeah,
because so they start in a region which doesn't have great fertility, and they were kind of historically a tribe who kind of wandered around the north a lot, so they had a lot in common with the Norsemen, and were used to living in quite harsh conditions. So, and in terms of gameplay, like you said, it gives you the option to kind of hang back while everyone else kind of flees down into the Roman Empire. You can kind of hang back and conquer a lot of these territories without having to worry about food as much.
Cool. So we're going to just take a look at some of the units.
Quick shout out to can we look at the faction leaders again? Sorry. The artist done a great job making them look different, because if you look at like the Burgundian guy,
the Burgundian guy.
Yeah, he's got a little rabbit on his hat, which is fantastic.
Oh, right,
Danny, our artist, he felt so guilty when he did that. He felt like he'd actually killed the rabbit.
No, it looks good. I love the Longobards guy, just the eye patch. He's just such a badass.
Yeah, he was awesome. So that was kind of like it's kind of a little allusion to Godin as well, because the Langobards, they were kind of very closely connected with Odin or Godin, depending on what you call them. So that's the one-eyed god. So that's kind of a little.
Oh right, So let's just have a quick overview of some of the units. So now you know more about the units than I do. I just received a list of them today, and there's actually like quite a lot. I mean, just from this like list I have alone, there's like probably about 6 or 7 per faction, like new units, and then there's a couple extra ones that you say have been like kind of tweaked a bit.
Yeah, a couple. So like I was saying about the Alamans, they kind of they have an alternative.
Do you want to control?
Sorry. Oh yeah. If I just mouse over something, if you kind of look at their basic spear infantry compared to the normal ones, you can see there's a little comparison bar here, and you can see that their melee attack's much higher, but their morale is worse and their health is worse, and that becomes really clear, especially when you get to this end. Their morale is significantly worse, their armor is worse, their health is worse, but their melee attack's a lot higher. So you try and use those guys in combination with these troops here, who are the Bejeweled Nobles. And these guys are kind of like, they're very tanky, quite low damage, but the special thing they have is they also have an aura, like generals.
Oh, right,
so you want to basically deploy these guys as close to your basic spearmen as possible, and then they'll outperform other the spearmen of other units. So, but you've got to make sure that you use them together, basically. So that's kind of hopefully going to create quite a unique gameplay situation where you've got to really think a bit more about your deployment. But anyway, so Alamans are basically we try to give them all quite like a focus. So they're the heavy infantry faction. So they have, as you can see, they have these spearmen. They've got very heavy spearmen here. These guys are super tough, even with the lower morale than the normal guys. These guys are very tough as well, as I was saying, the Jeweled Nobles. And these guys, they got Protectores Defectors, who are a Roman unit, which has been ported across because they were on the border with the Roman Empire, so there would have been a lot of flow between those two factions. So yeah, they have a lot of very strong core troops, and then just to flesh out their roster, they have the most powerful skirmisher unit here. Probably the most powerful skirmisher unit in the game.
From the Mars radius.
Yeah, so they have super heavy javelins, so they can penetrate armor really powerfully. They have great close combat attack. They have great ranged attack. They can fire while they're moving. So they're just they're devastating when you get up to that level. So you can have a kind of a solid core of defensive troops, and then kind of pick people off with these mobile troops. And they have some good artillery as well, of course from the Romans.
So would you say they have like kind of a lack of good melee cavalry?
So that would be
Is that their trade-off?
So the trade-off is that you have less ranged units and you have less cavalry than you would if you were another faction. Whereas the Burgundians are kind of the opposite. So they have a great cavalry roster and a great ranged roster. So the melee cavalry is the same, but they have they've got new axe cavalry. So they've.
Oh yeah.
So they're quite sharply distinguished. The two types of cavalry, the new cavalry that they get. So they have the axemen who have really strong melee attack, 70, which is pretty much as high as it goes. But they have barely any charge bonus. Okay. So they don't have the same charge effect as the other cavalry, but they're better in sustained battles. And then in contrast, you have the shot cavalry, which are the barbed lancers and the royal lancers, who have really strong charge bonus, but much worse sustained melee attack. And these guys also have warhounds, because they're close to the Norse guys, and they have a Norse axe unit. The axe guys, who are great at taking down heavy units, because their faction as a whole has a kind of a weakness to heavy armor. Okay. Because they use these barbed spears, which they do a lot of damage, a lot of base damage, but they don't actually do much armor penetration. All right. Did you see on the faction loading screen the kind of the harpoony type thing? Yeah. So they're kind of because they're kind of a hunter scavenger faction. They have a lot of horses. They have these kind of hunting weapons which they use, which are great against flesh, but bad against armor. Yeah. So you can see their kind of signature unit here are the barbed skirmishers and the barbed javelin men, who, as I said, a lot of damage, not much.
Very poor armor piercing. Yeah.
Very poor armor piercing. Yeah. And
missile damage 105.
Yeah,
wow.
Super high.
Yeah.
So they're great against cavalry and other things which aren't armored that well. And then these guys are really cool. I think they're my favourite unit. The scash shot hurlers. So they basically throw 3 balls which do less damage at the same time. So you get they're better at getting through shields than normal stuff, because they have a lower deflect chance. They're kind of the opposite end of the range thing to skirmishers, because super low damage but high chance of impact. And then in their later form they evolve into quite a strong line holding unit. So these guys are like tough as nails and still have the three shots basically. Cool.
And then lastly, onto the Longobards.
So these guys are the melee specialists. So instead of having just like core tough guys, they have quite fragile specialist units. Mostly quite fragile. So so they have these guys, Godin's Chosen, which are hovering over the line. These guys are just awesome.
Very late game unit.
Very late game, but they have super high attack, great morale. A little bit flimsier than some of the other high tier units, but they have a berserk ability, which means that when they reach a certain level of casualties, they'll kind of go uncontrollable, but they also won't break, and they start doing splash damage because they've gone berserk. So if you use that right, it can go well. The berserk ability. And then they've got, like, as I was saying, they've got a new anti-cavalry unit, which you can see up there, the horse hewers. No, it's not a spear unit, it's a melee one again. Sorry, here. These guys.
Oh, right.
So they're not very well protected, but they have guerrilla deployment. So the idea is that...
you just kind of spring a trap on some cavalry.
Yeah, they're like ambush units. So instead of just having a pike wall that just sits there and waits for them to attack, you can hopefully use it to get the cavalry. And they have a huge bonus against cavalry. They have like 40 bonus damage against cavalry, which is really powerful. Young wolves, they're kind of an anti-infantry unit, so they've got a big shield, high block chance, very fast, very mobile, quite a lot of damage, but won't really hold their own against other melee units because they don't have that great armor penetration. And then the clubmen are kind of the super tanks, so they do like no damage, but they're super tough. Yeah. So you want to try and use all of those different things. If you maximize them, it can really be useful. But as a trade-off, again, not particularly thick cavalry roster, not particularly thick range roster. So they're all about the melee.
That's kind of why I want to play them as well, because I'm all about the melee, I guess. I like melee infantry the most, and also just the fact that they take on those extra men after they win a battle, if you choose to take on warriors. I just think makes them really good. So their initial challenge is easy compared to the normal and then the hard of the Alamans. So do you think we should play on hard or very hard? Not going up to legendary, but
it's up to you. I mean,
I don't know. I don't want to lose on stream.
You got a reputation to think about, I guess.
Try
very hard. Why not? Let's go for that.
Yeah, we'll have a bit of fun.
Because they do actually have quite a stable star pos. Because they have a lot of friendly German tribes around them, no war. Whereas the Alamans, they're at war with the Vandals, who will just come in and smash you repeatedly in the first couple of turns, which is tough.
So, I'll let that play while I just read a bit of chat, maybe see if I missed some stuff.
Broken blood. Rome was weak.
You don't speak French?
I do not speak French.
That's about it.
The tribes grew in strength and number.
James is the one that, or Dogbert is controlling the total official users, in case anybody's wondering who's typing that. It's just like
Their borders were threatened, for a great storm raged in the east.
Take your tops off. Maybe.
I mean, just play football for quite a lot of modern points off, so I don't think I'll do that. But, yeah.
One by one, the tribes scattered as seeds in the wind.
But yeah, I mean, have you played much of the base game recently?
Well, it's because as soon as I landed this job recently, I haven't been playing it only at work. So I have 2 campaigns in total, I think, and the Langobards is one of them.
The blood of their kin would be avenged.
About 60 turns in, so that's been going pretty well for me. It's only on hard.
Right.
And then I have one in TV game where I'm working with. It's really loud.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I was Eastern Longobar and I just got 25. And I had a co-op one where I was Western Longobar.
Great hunters,
it's really hard.
they tempered their blades in Roman blood and saw their once mighty walls reduced to dust.
But I like playing the Barbarians and tearing the Roman Empire apart because
they made ready for war.
The main reason I haven't been playing that much though is because my PC is still back in Ireland where I came from. So I'm waiting to get a flat over here for another. I think I won't be able to move in for a couple of weeks now. I can play games properly again.
On the
oh, here we go. So we got the flat.
Your name and even your appearance pays tribute.
Yeah, so this just talks a little bit about what we were saying before,
like
and
him,
talking about their close
you will
connection
have
to
to
Godin,
rely on wit and diplomacy
and how they have to kind of behave like
compensate for your
cunning
inferior power
get by
in these troubled
diplomacy.
times.
Yeah.
Already your silver tongue has earned the
So we get a
approval of
little
Germanic
overview of the situation here. So you've got the Saxons just
All you need
past
do
the
is
Franks
pick
up here.
the mightiest ally.
And
Franks
these
to
guys
the
are pretty friendly
north
to you, the Franks.
are powerful and
Yeah,
well-disposed.
Saxons not so much.
As
So
are
yeah,
the
Saxons are not so.
neighbouring
Yeah, they're
Alemanni.
kind of.
I was thinking of just going
In
for them
order to
straight away.
demonstrate
I
your
reckon that's a good
worth,
idea.
consider
Saxons are good to
eradicating
go
the
for.
Vandals
Just getting some
that
mercenaries in
pillaged these
turn 1 or 2 and
lands.
just like going for
At
them.
the end of the
Yeah.
road,
I think that's
great
what I did in my
prize beckons.
campaign because it gives you access to
Godin has revealed
capital
the
city as
coming
well,
of a
which
great
lets you get some
Langobard
strong units
empire
recruitment-wise.
in Rome.
In-game sound is a bit loud. Alright, turn it down.
Sorry about that.
No, that's my fault. Just takes a while to get used to it. Tweaking a new setup, to get it right.
Yeah.
Following. Okay, so
So we
let
start off with
me know, just guys, if it sounds okay now. Okay, like I'll just click a few things and talk at the same time. Like, let me know. I can change that in a second. So once it's okay for everybody, it should be fine.
Is that
It's a bit of a delay, so it'll take about a minute, and then they'll let me know. So
right?
should be okay. It's just probably just while that guy was talking, maybe they couldn't hear us, or the really loud cutscene.
Great.
Ready for orders.
So
Yeah, so you can actually see some of the new units that I was talking about in some of the Star Wars armies.
Young Wolves.
Got the Young Wolves. You can recruit them from the beginning. Got one squad of Horsehewers and some of the Clubmen as well as kind of the backbone to your squad. So that's quite a well-rounded army, that one. This one less so.
And we got this awesome general as well.
Yeah, Eye Patch Man.
Eye Patch Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good. What's his name actually? Lethuk?
Lethuk, yeah, there we go.
I meant to say as well, so this also has the Lay of Ybor.
Levy Boy, yeah.
So that's like a new objective, well, a new event kind of tree.
Yeah, so it's like a string of dilemmas basically.
Yeah.
And, it kind of lets you. It's a bit like a choose your own adventure, where you kind of pilot a hero through a series of choices as he goes on a journey, and then at the end of it, he returns back to you as a recruitable general.
Yeah, yeah.
And based on the choices you make, he'll have different attributes. So you can kind of, if you choose to go for the peaceful options, maybe you'll have a guy who's got good diplomatic ability. If you go for the kind of the violent options, you'll have a guy who's really good in battle. So so it kind of, I think it helps you feel quite attached to him because you feel like you've kind of
created the general almost. Yeah. So I was going to say, we're not making any food, and we can't. None of these can be upgraded into food-producing buildings.
Yes.
Which is a little bit of a tricky start. That's why going for Attila for them is probably like a good idea, or just somewhere. So I was going to put a governor on this place and then enact an edict that will get us. Will increase our growth rate so we can get food.
That's a really good idea.
So I'll have to go with this guy probably.
I like this feature as well, that you don't have to have a whole province to issue an edict.
Yeah, it's
from Rome.
Pretty handy.
And it makes a big difference. And changing
there we go.
Yeah.
So growth plus 10. It's still going to take a while because we don't get this till 7, and we're only on 2. Which means you pretty much have to expand or decide that you don't want this building, but that's where you get men from.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's pretty tricky of what to do. Actually, yeah, you get Germanic band from the artisan.
Yeah.
And just from having a regular town, the Torp, you get young wolves and Germanic levy.
Yeah.
So
and you get from the artisan, you get a couple of the new faction-specific rosters. So if you go for the bone carvers, I think it is. Yeah, they'll get you the horse hewers. And if you go for the smithy, that will get you the clubmen. So depending on what we kind of decide we feel like we need, we can research the tech for that as well. I think it's this one, is it? Yeah, that will get you the bone.
Well, we'll go civil anyway, straight away.
Cool.
That's usually what I do. I don't feel like you need to go military too early.
No, I tend to agree.
So that's pretty much the plan, guys. I think we're just going to go straight for Attila for them. I think that's a good idea. Do you?
Yeah, let's go straight for it. So I mean, with these 2 squads and
well, we just stack them up into one.
Yeah.
And then if we can reinforce another.
You definitely want to grab an onager so you can attack it straight away.
From mercenaries,
yeah. Yeah. Brilliant.
That's 20 stacks straight away.
Yeah. It might be worth. What I'd like to do before I attack someone is just check if they have any enemies, because often you can extort some cash out of them. Extort some cash out of them if they've got any people who don't like them. Okay.
So
looks like they're fine.
They're just at war with Western Rome, just like everybody.
Yeah.
Actually, we're not, which is strange.
Yeah. No, actually, none of these factions start off at war. The Alamans start off very, very unfriendly. But it's kind of because there was an uneasy peace at this kind of time. So you kind of choose to take it that way. We might be able to get some trade agreements though out of some of these other factions.
Sorry, I'm just reading some funny things in the chat.
Yeah.
See if we can get some trade and some money as well.
Yeah.
The gods will have me listen to you.
So these guys, this is part of the thing that makes their start post quite easy. It's the fact that they have these great relations with everyone else.
Perhaps a modest gift of coin would have my people see you in a new light.
Pretty sure they just offered me what I offered them. Either that or I made the mistake and demanded it instead. Don't want traded Saxons, we're about to
trade them. Now speak plainly, for we are. Will you not give up?
I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean you'll make it back in a couple of turns, won't you?
3 turns pretty much.
Well, exactly.
According to that.
And the Alamans are usually great. They'll usually offer you some kind of agreement in the first couple of turns.
So order by attitude. So that's pretty much all we can do because we've only discovered those factions. They're not at war with anybody, so they're pretty much just standing alone. It shouldn't be too tricky.
Shouldn't damage you too much because a lot of the other barbarians don't like them as well.
So we just have a little walk out and have a look at what's going on.
Ready for orders.
I think we should be able to take them with one army with an onager if we can punch through them enough.
Yeah,
I mean, we could also just hold them for a siege and see if they come out to meet us. The Saxons, they start with another army in the ocean, don't
yeah,
they?
they start with a naval army, so that will.
They're not going to get there in one turn.
No, they won't be able to reinforce you, but they might. I mean, if you get a horde army close to you, they can cause you trouble. But you know, it just kind of depends.
All right, let's go for it.
Go for it.
Very well. Besieging settlement.
All right,
looks pretty positive.
It's fairly positive, yeah. So, do you think we should fight this out straight away or wait?
Really, it's really up to you. I mean, whatever you like.
You have to think like, what's the benefits to waiting? I mean, waiting, I could recruit more men and bring them up.
That's true.
Just a little bit. I'm making enough money I could do that.
That's quite a good idea.
And they'd have a little bit of escalation, possibly,
damage.
because when you, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but when you have an onager in your army, escalation increases a little bit faster.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and if you're going to wait a turn, you can recruit a couple of siege towers as well, can't you?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe just wait the base amount until we get one of these. So that's only 2 turns. So wait 2 turns before going into this town, which I think is a pretty good idea.
Yep, sounds good. And that guy can recruit a couple of units while
yeah. So before we recruit, wow, what should we go with first?
So that will give you some money, but it won't give you any new units, unfortunately.
I don't think we need new units straight away.
Yeah. Just while we're doing, while we're looking at the buildings, there's a couple. We can look at maybe the building tree. Look at a couple of new buildings for the Langobards. So they have 2 new religious buildings to reflect their kind of closeness with Godan. So if you go down to religion, you'll see they have a new, they have a new town and city thing. So they have a beheading corpse in the town, which is pretty badass.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It gives them food. It gives them unit experience, which is really nice, and pain and osmosis. So it's just kind of a nice differentiator between these 2 chains. And city religion, you get another 5th tier building as well. Called a Godan's Dance. which again, it gives you experience with priests, and it gives you extra damage for your units, because it kind of reflects the way that they used to whip each other up in religious festivals and kind of get each other stoked for battle. Yeah, brilliant.
So I'm just thinking, what should we go for first? I mean, that'll give us more money. And
I mean, it might be worth going for one of the other ones to get the. I mean, how long will it take us to research?
We have to research 4 turns, 5, 6, well, 7 turns. I mean,
what do you reckon?
So our public order's back, so obviously we took all the troop sets. Maybe we will just focus on converting the religion, because we're only on 60%.
Yeah.
And we don't have the food to sacrifice, so we have to go for this one, because we don't have the food to give.
We can converse it later, I guess, if we fancy.
I look like Will Smith, obviously. A white Will Smith. Alright, so we'll just wait a couple turns on that.
Great.
And see how the other factions react.
Cool. Sounds good.
Might as well put this guy in the town to help with that as well.
Yeah, the public order.
Oh, and we can recruit as well.
Yeah.
Oh, we can, yeah. Quite cheap.
So can't get any rage units, but we can get kind of...
Let's go with wolves.
Fight for us, lads.
Is that all we can get?
Yeah, well, we're out of money.
Oh, right. Yeah. Cool.
Robert Mugabel, do you know who that is?
No, I know Robert Mugabe. That could be it. Don't think it is Robert Mugabe.